Well, good morning, everybody. How's it going? So, sorry about the being late today and the late update. So, Wednesday morning streams are moving. Saying 9:30 right now, but it might actually be closer to 9:15. I have an appointment in the morning. Oh, I should make myself visible. I'm hiding. There I am. Adjust something here. There we go. Sorry, I had made some moves today, so I had to fix something. Yeah, so Wednesday morning streams are changing. We'll be moving them to a slightly different time. 9:15 is probably when it's going to be, but we'll be doing more. I'm going to say 9:30. Maybe get me a little early. Get a little early. We'll see. Thank you for that, Pixel Sharks. It's appreciated. Thank you for your continued support. I do very much appreciate it. And Zoe, again, thanks for the host and being here. So, Desert Mountains. That's where we currently are. Let me turn that way. Working on something. Doing a little streaming stuff. As always, we stream for Extra Life. You can find out more about the charity I stream for there. what's going on? So it's April, May. I don't know how many years we've been here now. At this point, I'm pretty sure I can find out, but 61 days since our arrival. It's permanently summer. So basically, we've been here for a year. Okay, so we've been here for about a year. Or 4 months, whatever. Yeah. No. Yeah, a year. So, what's going on? Everybody, Puppy's going to bed. Mr. Gray's working on bricks. Noah is moving the roof. Fight with an elephant. Who, after we killed an elephant, this elephant decided, oh, you know what? I'm gonna just move in. And I had to make it so that the animals couldn't go in here and eat our stuff. Go feed yourself, Noah. And he's back there moving. It's odd that it's like he's taking the roof out and now the shadow's appearing. Must be just because the sun's going down that direction. But then that shadow right there makes no sense to me. Could technically put another growing zone right there, but they're very well placed. I placed as best as I could. This one feels like it's just wasted with all that space sitting right there. I originally put the roof on here because I was trying to figure out if I could keep the animals from eating my stuff, but it didn't work. I had to put this wall up over here to keep them out. The wild elephants that were eating all of my crops before I could do anything with them. Finish that one. And then they're going to clear your... Mr. Noah's going to spend his entire day removing roofs, it looks like. Go eat. Oh, you must be hungry, man. You must be hungry. TV shadows make sense to me, because it's that. Kitty, I hear you, Kitty. I hear you, Kitty. What are you doing? You're hanging out with the prisoners. Speaking of, let's check there. She's still at 30.4, he's at 2.7, so... could be seeing a conversion of our wild man soon, then maybe I could put some clothing on him. But he's sleeping. And we'll need to convert this eventually. I do need to move this. It's going to be... Where are you going, Mr. Gray? Oh, you're gonna go harvest? That's fine, you can do that. Guthron. Do that first. Fluffy, he's awake. Fluffy, harvest the rice first. I mean, harvest hull. Ah, good job. Make some meals for us. Ambrosia bushes that suddenly started growing over here. Help Fluffy. Now. Okay, so he's picking up. Doesn't seem to be eating much. So I don't know. Maybe I mean, doesn't look like he's not going for the food or anything, so yeah, I don't know. I don't know what he's eating. Clearly whatever he's eating he's happy about it. Because he's just sitting there. Oh, nice. Starting our hydroponics. Probably gonna need to put one of these in there. Power conduit. Good job, Zoe. Wondering why Build the power conduits. Get some power to the room first. We need power. We need power. I don't like that my stuff is all like this, but what else am I gonna do? I don't have enough of the same material, so. Fluffy, stop it. Fluffy, stop it. What do you want? Power. Power first. Power. So, I forgot to show this one. As always, I just need to make sure it's clear. I am a veteran with PTSD, and I am okay talking about it here. And this is a place that I'd like people to be able to hang out, talk about their problems, to things, help them get through what they're doing. Just want this to be a place that people can feel they're not going to be triggered, they're not going to be mocked or anything like that, and if they need to talk, or if they just need to listen, or if they just want to hang out, they can. So. I'm not sure if there's an issue with it right now. Yeah. That blog, I think there's an issue with it. So that eventually is going to be the blog where my wife and I have this stuff set up, but I'll make sure she knows it needs to be adjusted. Everybody's hanging out at the party. Go to the party. Wake up, Noah, wake up. It's a little early, but wake up. Come hang out at the party. Mr. Wildman, when you join us, I hate to tell you this, but your number one job is going to be cleaning. Everybody's hanging out at the party. Cool. I'm hungry. Forgot to get breakfast. That's what I should. I'm starting a little early. I should have fed myself. Speaking of those little things. What? What the heck is wrong with Walt? Cool, so put him there. What's wrong? Oh, he's hungry. Somebody go feed him. And you notice we have to feed him. But the party's over. Let's get him where he needs to go. Feed him. Clearly still got issues. Oh, good job, buddy. My dog is curled up at my feet. Tomorrow, I've done a rearrangement so he can be over here with me, and I will make sure that that tomorrow he's on the camera with me. Hold on, I'm going to pet him. puppy. Yeah, you can do that. Where's Mr. Gray? He's there. Okay. Where's Noah? Oh, okay. Guthron is in here. Also nice. You guys are gonna go to bed soon. It's an iguana. What? Stop it. Oh, you people. It's the last thing I needed. Morons. You know, I know you could pick up the rice that you set out there. Okay, so it must be better now. In there. Smooth potted plant. Oh, this is gonna be interesting. Okay, so now I gotta wait until he calms down. I heard you. Great. Just great. Go to sleep, buddy. Need him to go to sleep. You take care of him. Oh, where are you? Nowhere. Yes, I know. Zoe, what are you doing? Rest until healed. Fluffy. Go take care of Zoe. They just had a party and everything. Why the heck did they decide that now's a good time to have a fight? Walt's got a bed. Go rest until you heal. Can't tell if that's an eating thing or a vomiting thing. All the rice. Walt's got a bed. Got a bed. Walt's got a bed. Stop it. I think I may definitely have to separate them. I think I have 2 different prison cells instead of 1. I'm gonna have to risk it. Well, now he goes to sleep in it. Okay, this is becoming frustrating. these two idiots over here hadn't gotten themselves injured, I could just turn one of those into a prisoner hospital bed, but no. And now Fluffy, I'm gonna need to assign the warden. That's Groot. He's sleeping down there, enjoying himself. Okay, so they need care. Sorry, Fluffy. Different job tonight. You have to be there. Yes, he is. Where did he go? Of course, as soon as I turn the thing on, he goes away. Alright, I'll turn this off right now. Screwed isn't cooperating. What a mess. What a mess. Got done. We'll wait and see what happens. More steel anywhere, like it's just sitting around. Oh, there's some steel. Yep. If there's any more just sitting around. Where's he going? Oh, that's good. Get these guys on their feet. Alright, so it is a little after 10 o'clock. I'm going to be wrapping this thing up. But I'm going to wrap my stream up with something a little different. So give me just a second while I switch over. Let me change this. Let me save the game. Save. Alright, okay. Go ahead and quit that game. And scenes here for a second. Alright, so let me grab something. 1 second. So, for those of you that don't know, oops, I am an author. You can find out more about it at that website. I have published one book, and I'm working on publishing a second one. Here's the book, right there. So that's the first. That's the first one. The second one is written. I just have to finish editing it. And on the suggestion of people around me, I've been told to go back and read my own work because apparently I was self-therapizing without realizing it. So I'm going to start reading it out loud, and I'm going to do it here. So I'm going to read a little bit every time I stream, usually probably at the end of the stream, and I'm going to do I'll separate these things out so they'll have their own little playlist and everything, so people can go back and listen to me, although it'll probably be on YouTube as opposed to here, which you can see the YouTube link right there. See? Right there. Okay, so let me do a stream marker, and I'm going to start reading. This is a copy I gave to my wife, and all the little bookmarks that you see are hers. highlights. So I have a copy that's coming. I've sent it around to people who played a role in the making of the book to have them sign it and stuff. And that's going to be the copy that I go through and I write notes down inside, and it's just going to be a copy for myself. But for this, I'm just going to start using this one. So, all right. So, Chapter 1. Paper. I suppose this all started with paper. Real paper. I could not recall the last time I'd seen a fresh batch of it. That close to the core, one rarely found supplies of this sort. They were hard to come by, even for researchers like me. Only the bare necessities for those sworn to protect. How many times had I had those words thrown in my face? Still, someone must have seen my request. How else had this package of crisp, white paper been delivered? The first thing I did was pull a piece free, hold it close to my nose, and inhale slowly. If I closed my eyes, the faint odor made me believe I was pressing my face close to a real tree standing before me, a soft breeze shifting my long hair around as it moved past. Well, I pictured what I thought was a tree. It was a pleasant dream. A cough interrupted my wandering thoughts. I quickly lowered the paper and opened my eyes, brushing a strand of my hair from my face. There in the doorway stood a figure I'd never seen before. He stood at least a full head taller than me, and I was considered tall at 172 centimeters. He wore long, flowing silver robes. A hood covered his head and a cowl most of his face. A slit cut across it revealed dark skin and black eyes, which were locked on me. My heart accelerated slightly, and a tingly feeling ran up my side to my chest. He hesitated in the doorway, hands clasped behind him. I tossed the paper behind me and bowed my head as my cheeks warmed, now wishing to stare at the strange figure waiting before me. "May I enter?" he asked, his voice deep and rough. I looked up and nodded. He stepped forward to the table that dominated the room's center, the door sliding shut behind him. "Feel free to stare," he muttered, his eyes roaming around the space. "I find it helps you lot get past the startled stage sooner." "Hello, Kate. Welcome to the reading." As his black eyes darted around, I felt self-conscious about the clutter. My eyes followed his around my messy office, taking in random articles of clothing, a hairbrush, a tin of moisturizer, and I wished I'd taken a few moments earlier in the day to tidy up a bit. "Your robes are an interesting choice considering the heat," I said, words racing out of my mouth. I closed my eyes tight and took a few deep breaths. "And a perpetual curiosity to you core lovers," the man said, moving to stand by the table holding the paper. "Quite a prize here." "Oh, thanks for that follow, Kate. Welcome to the Rat Pack." I must have looked confused, for the man arched an eyebrow and nodded at the table. When I looked around, all I saw was the paper. "This?" I asked. "Yes, it is. I have no idea where it came from, either." "Such a lovely day," the man said, moving past the table to stand near the room's lone window. "Join me? Seems a lot less windy than usual for this time of day, don't you think?" I didn't move. I had no idea who he was. My first thought was to move toward the door, not the window. "Caitlin?" I'm not sure if it's Kate or Caitlin like that. Welcome. Thank you for sharing. Those are some tough things you're facing there. I have ADHD also. I have social anxiety. I have depression, but it's more connected to the PTSD. So I understand some of that. My sister has dyslexia. My brother-in-law has dyslexia. So it's a lot of challenges, but hey, that's life's full of challenges, right? So welcome. You're welcome to hang out here. You can count on this being a safe space. We can talk about things. We can not talk about things. Whatever. Today, I just wrapped up Rimworld, slightly shorter stream today, and I'm doing a reading from my book on the recommendation of my wife and several others, because apparently I self-therapized when I wrote this. So feel free to ask questions, comment. This isn't one of those I just have to keep reading. Because it's not like I'm doing a special recording where I just want to hear the reading. I can cut the video if I want to do that. So, Don't you agree, Logwin? He asked, nodding toward the window. About the wind? Seems very calm for this late in the day. The night shield will be up in a few crons. I turned my gaze to the window, puzzled as to why he would want to discuss the weather with me. In the distance I spied another shell, too small to support a population, orbiting the core just below ours. Aware of the man standing next to me and his question, I searched for some kind of response. I settled on a nod and started to reply, then stopped. He'd called me by my name. Truth be told, he said, looking toward the door and dropping his voice to a low murmur, I'm not here to talk about the weather. I'm here to discuss that prize you just received. I moved back toward the desk that stood along one side of the room, my eyes narrowing. I gather you're getting suspicious right about now, he said, his voice still low. Good. Don't lose that. You're going to need it. How do you know my name? I asked. He smiled. If there's one thing you can count on everywhere, it's the bureaucratic urge to account for everything. He glanced around the room, taking in the table, my desk, and the wardrobe along the far wall. Especially who works in what office. You looked me up? I needed to find you, and frankly, you're the only one with that name in the index. Why? I moved around the table. He nodded at the door. Go ahead, the door's not locked. Who are you? I am a friend of your queen. He looked back out the window, as difficult as that may be to believe. The queen doesn't have friends. She hardly ever comes out of her cave anymore. He shrugged. So you don't know what she does or who she talks to? He smiled at me. Or who she is friends with. I bowed my head at him, conceding the point, and nodded at his garments. Those are not from our shell. Nor mine, I'm afraid, he said, shrugging. However, it's an effective disguise on most shells I visit. How? You stand out. That can't be what someone wearing a disguise wants. He chuckled. Down here, I'll grant you that much. He looked at the ceiling for a moment. Up there, on other shells, you'll find these cloaks carry a lot of power and weight. He held up a hand. Not that I'm here to flaunt that power. I just didn't have time to change before I came. Why are you here? I asked, looking back at the paper. Right, let's get to the point. He stepped away from the window and picked up a single sheet of paper from the table. As I said, quite the prize. Getting this here was no small feat, I can tell you. I looked back and forth between the paper and the stranger. Pardon me, I said, holding his gaze. But isn't this a violation of the import codes? The man leaned close, his dark eyes turning to look at me as he waved me closer. It can't be a violation if it wasn't imported. I opened and closed my mouth several times, trying to fathom how else the paper might have come. Nothing got to this shell except from the matter reforger or by import. Both of those required months of waiting to get anything beyond the necessities. An impressive bit of work this is. I can't recall ever seeing a single sheet in existence, and here she's made an entire stack of it. The first is the most complex, as you know. I'm sure if I tried it would take me 24 crons just to make the first sheet. He grinned at me. I'll wager she did it in 12. I stared, my mouth hanging open slightly. 12 crons? At that point, I would have needed roughly 30 crons to duplicate one sheet from the completed pattern, and whoever had done this had made one from scratch in half a day. Who? I asked again. You can't figure that one out? I shook my head. I can't think of anyone powerful enough to... I stopped, my eyebrows shooting up. The Queen. Sorry, that was meant to be a question. The Queen? He arched an eyebrow. The light dawns. I looked at the paper. We hardly ever see her anymore. Why would she make something like this? She made it for me, he whispered. That made me pause. I had only ever seen the Queen once in my lifetime, cycles in the past, the day I'd failed my test. It wasn't a happy memory for me. It was the only time I'd ever seen her in person. I'd hardly forgotten it. How long have you known her? For a very long time. He stopped speaking, his eyes locked on the piece of paper in his hand. Did she make all of these? I asked, finger running down the stack of paper. The stranger chuckled. No, once she had the original, duplicating is permitted with the matter reforger, I'm sure. He shook his head and waved the piece of paper at me. Still, I didn't come here to brag about the Queen's abilities, he said, placing the sheet back on the table. I have a task for you. He frowned, looking back out the window. Not an easy one, either. The stranger stood silent for a moment, his eyes glazed over. He shook his head and refocused on me, reaching into his robes. You know what this is, correct? He held out an object. I took it and discovered it was an envelope made from paper and sealed with what looked like a hard red substance. Inside, you'll find instructions. He nodded at the envelope. I thought it was best to avoid using certain devices. What's in it is of a delicate nature. I turned it over in my hand and found my name written across it. You know how to write, correct? I looked down at the paper. Yes, but I won't have anything to write with much longer. I'm on my last pencil, and it will take me much longer to make more. Pencils aren't high on the reforger priority list. The man smiled, held out a small cylindrical case, and set it on the table between us. He nodded for me to take it. I think you'll find this more to your liking. Inside the case lay a finger-length cylindrical device made from solid metal. One tip ended in a point, the other rounded smooth. I held it up and shifted it to rest on my fingers like a pencil. Correct, it's a writing device. It doesn't have a name yet, but I'm told it's a never-ending pencil, for lack of something better, he said, pointing at the package that once held the paper. Try it out. It'll write on any surface. I drew a scripting symbol on the packaging, careful to leave the powerful construct incomplete so as not to cause some freak accident. The script looked wet at first, but it was dry when I brushed my finger across it. I tried it on the smooth metal table and found the same result. Do I want to know how long it took her to create this stylus? She didn't make that one, but I'll tell you who did now that you've named it, he said, stepping closer to the table and lowering his voice. I took it from someone who I am quite certain will be up in arms about it, especially if he hears you've given it a name. He burst out with a hearty laugh, the first emotion I'd seen from the man. Now here is where I leave you, but I must give you one word of warning. For this project, I'm sorry to say, you can't use the computers for any part. I looked up from admiring the stylus to stare at the stranger. I can't use the computers? I asked, looking behind the man. Had we been in most any other room, a large silvery display panel would have met my eyes, but not in this one. It was part of the reason I had chosen this space to work. To get away from the machines. To hide from the nagging feeling someone or something was staring at me from behind the panel. No, I'm afraid not. You haven't told me what it is you want me to do. He pointed at the envelope. Everything I can tell you is in there. I looked up at him. You never told me how you knew to look me up. He took in a deep breath and let it out. Some questions have to wait for their answers. The stranger turned to leave, but I called out to him. What's your name? He didn't answer. He walked out, the door sliding shut behind him. I turned the envelope over in my hand and stared at the red substance pressed to the side. I ran a finger over it. Whatever the stuff was, it had solidified and turned smooth. A single image lay compressed into the center. A single image lay compressed into the center. An O. A memory tickled on the edge of my consciousness, then flitted away. Shrugging, I used my fingernail to separate the substance from the envelope, freeing the flap. I pulled a piece of paper out and began to read. Logwyn, your queen needs your help. She is on the brink of a choice, one that has far-reaching consequences for us all. I do not believe she'll make the right choice in her current state of mind. She is about to send for you to request that you complete a task for her. When she does, you must tell her one thing when she asks if you will complete the task for her. Tell her you know her secret. The secret no one else knows. What that secret is hers to tell in her own time. She will challenge you. When she does, show her and only her the item I left on your table. I stopped reading and looked around. There sat a metallic box, the same color as the table. A single sheet of paper lay across it, blocking half the box from my sight. The paper the stranger had held. I looked back down at the paper. Show no one else what lies inside this box, not even yourself. Keep it secret from everyone save for the queen. Only reveal you have it at your direst need. A friend. P.S. Do not trust any computer terminal you happen upon. I set the note aside and moved to stand over the box. It measured just longer than my arm from elbow to fingertip and a bit wider than my wrist. How I'd missed him placing it, I still don't know. A small magnetic clasp held it closed on one side. I moved to open the box, pausing to glance at the note. He said to show her what lies within. What could it be? My finger toyed with the clasp as I pondered what might lay inside. A moment later, a messenger appeared, delivering a summons to see the Queen. He found me standing over the still-closed box. After he left, I eyed the summons and the note, my hand still resting on the metallic box. What did the strange man want? What did the Queen want? And why all this secrecy? It took me several months of work to find those answers, to find out that they boiled down to a friend caring for another and trying to help his friend recover from a loss. It took even more for me to understand the need for secrecy, to truly comprehend the danger the box in my possession brought with it. Not just to me, but to everyone. And not just danger, power. Had I known then the implications that box carried with it, I might have thrown it into the core. But at that moment, I didn't know any of that. I needed more information, and only one source lay open to me. Before I'd finished thinking the thought through, I found myself walking out the door, paper, stylus, and a still-closed box all tucked away safely in a travel sack. And that's where I'm going to stop for today. Probably won't read that long every day. Just decided to go up to the first little chapter break. So, thank you for tuning in. Thanks for the follow there, Kate. And hope to see you again in the future. And everybody, have yourselves a good day. Bye.